Hello, my name is Israel Itakibwebu. Like you listened to in segment one, where we dealt with talk briefly about security. In this segment, we're going to talk about the key role electricity plays in nation building. We all know the story of electricity in Nigeria. Nowhere in any developed nation can you achieve any trace of development without sustainable electricity supply. People, I hear people cry or talk about their experience in Nigeria, and I have my personal experience as well. No matter the industry or the factories you build in a country, if there is no energy to drive, to power that industry will be moribund. All that capital investment will be flushed down the drain. And what would be the outcome? No new investors will patronize you. And that is the key problem we're having today in Nigeria. Now, what do we need to do? We need to go back to the drawing board, pull heads together, and do what we call a fishbone analysis on electricity supply in Nigeria. You all agree with me, or we all know, that the government has been putting some effort in place in recent years that resulted to the privatization of what we call NEPA, the main power supplier in Nigeria, or then that transitioned to PHC and was further broken down into the Genco, Discos, and the Transcos, which are the generators company, the transmission companies, and the distribution companies. The story is not different. That privatization has not delivered the intended results. Today, we Nigerians are sleeping in darkness. Factories are running heavy on diesel, and diesel is consuming or eating up all their profit. And the proliferation of productivity is nowhere, because an industry is as good as the profit generated from that business. If there's no profit in business, who would we invest? Nobody. I wouldn't, and I know you wouldn't. Now, we are not here to talk about the billions of dollars that has been flushed or pumped into electricity generation that has yielded nothing. Rather, our focus here is to pick your brain, to do a little bit of thinking by considering the current political terrain and look at the candidates that you have for election in the next Saturday, presidential and National Assembly election, and do a self-assessment. Look at the ideas, the ideals, and the ideologies that is being, marketed to us by each of these candidates, be it the APC current president Muhammadu Buhari, or Alhaji Abubakar Atiku of PDP, or any of the young parties, the young candidates in the ranks of Omoyele Sowore, Professor Mogalu, Feladro Toye, and the rest, and make a decision, a conscious decision for that matter. It is time to do thorough thinking and be part of nation building by your vote, by voting right. Please, while you make this decision, try to understand that the children are graduates that we have in the youths we have in Nigeria. We need electricity to build or to power industries that will positively and actively engage them in production activities. This is the only way Nigeria can grow. Without industrialization, we are going nowhere. Without energy to drive the industrialization, we are dead on arrival. Think about the opportunities you enjoyed when you were growing up, the aspirations you had as an individual or as a child, and now look at the children of the poor Nigerians. I am the first to be educated in my family. First line, what we call the first generation of educated person in my family. I grew up in a village, but education gave me the opportunities I have today. But if I go to school and I have no job and I'm as useless as somebody who has never touched the four walls of education or school, of what use would my education be? I was given opportunity. And that opportunity gave me that platform to use to want to develop myself and also put back into the society. That is the way it should go. So we need to put the missing link in our economy, which is the energy that drives industrialization. And industrialization that will come about creativity, productivity, and growth of the nation. And not just the growth of Nigeria, but that of Africa and also the world. Because every country has a role to play in global growth. Why would Nigeria not be part of that? So your decision is not just one vote. Your decision is about the future of Nigeria. So please make sure you assess all the candidates and make a very wise choice while you vote in this next presidential and National Assembly election. And also beyond this Saturday's election and up to the governor or the gubernatorial election, as well as the state houses of assembly. Are you to my colleague, Gosway?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Israel. So, so we have this. So every election cycle, the politicians they come, they look for young people, they look for people from the streets, they look for people to give 500 naira, 100 naira, so that 1,000 naira, 2,000 naira, 10,000 naira, so that they can go vote for them, so that they can mobilize people for them, so that they can bring voters to help put them back in power. Like I saw, there's an advert I saw on social media a couple of months ago, where somebody was talking about, hey, I've already gotten 10,000 from a politician, so I'm going to vote for that politician because I got 10,000. And this other guy told him that 10,000 that she paid you, he has already bought your future for the next 4 years. You already sold your future for the next 4 years because he has paid you the 10,000 naira, and that's whatever that's your salary or your earnings for the next 4 years. So whatever he does, whatever amount he steals going forward in within that 4 years, you have no question. You cannot question his performance. Note something. Nigerians are by nature job creators. The last debate where they had yesterday. They were talking about people's debate. They were talking about creating jobs and all that. Yes, they can create jobs, but Nigerians, by their DNA, are job creators. Give them the enabling conditions. Create the environment that is suitable and fertile for their seeds to germinate, and Nigerians will surprise you. Nigerians are not asking for handouts. They're not asking for 10,000 naira for election mobilization and all that. All they're asking for is for the government to create a stabilized society, provide the necessary infrastructures, provide the necessary conducive environment so that investors can feel comfortable saying, okay, that guy that wants to start a real estate business, that wants to build a bunch of a real estate subdivision in Lekki, how much is it going to cost? $20 million. Okay, no problem. Nigeria is stable enough. The economy is stable enough. People have sense of duty and obligation. There's nothing stopping. Look, I'm going to break it down to you like this. I'm in investments here in Texas. Although I have an oil and gas background, from mechanical engineering where I work in oil and gas and all that, but I'm currently in investment, majorly in oil and gas investment. But I run into investors from every day that are looking for an opportunity to go and invest in Nigeria because they know Nigeria will surpass, the population of Nigeria will surpass the population of America in a short time to come, in the coming years. Just imagine the population of Nigeria.
And look at that market.
And look at that market. And look at the population of the US. And look at all the thriving industries, whether it's the automotive, tech, medical, healthcare. All these industries are thriving with the population they have in the US currently. And imagine that Nigeria is actually, population is going to exceed the US population in the coming years. And investors, they know this. And they see an opportunity for a huge market in Nigeria. And they're asking me every day, how can they invest in Nigeria when there is so much risk? Economics 101. For you to be able to create value for yourself or for an environment or for an entity, the value today is a function of the future cash flows tomorrow and the day after and the years to come. When you discount the future cash flows to the present and add them all up, the value is the total summation of a discounted cash flow. Just like an individual. If investors from Western countries, from the US, are seeing that Nigeria has the potential for future cash flow with the huge markets for their investment, they see the potential for future cash flow. The value they place on Nigeria is so high because of the future cash flow that Nigeria has potential to generate for their businesses, which is the growth. But we have to be able to get it right. APC is not going to be able to make it happen. They have not been able to create the conducive environment throughout their tenure. The conducive environment that involves minimizing the risk, creating sufficient security in place so that if an investor writes a check for $20 million for that, for Tunde that wants to build a bunch of condominiums in Lekki, they're not going to wake up tomorrow to find out that there is a change in government or there is a change in policy that will change the whole dynamics of the cash flow. That is the country risk. That is the risk that investors are always looking at. And you have a bunch of risks. You have a country risk, you have a financial risk, you have the economic risk and all that. But I'm just trying to kind of be as simplified, as simplistic as I can. So what Nigerians need to do is this. What Nigerians need to do is this. APC is not going to take us to that point where we need to become the Nigeria that we need to be. PDP will not, and I say this because the top of the ticket in PDP, which is Alhaji Atiku, was part of a failed administration in the past. I'm not going to go into details, but I can tell you this. I personally took investors that was going to invest more than $300 million in Nigeria. I took them to Nigeria during when Obasanjo and Atiku were in Aso Rock. And without going into details, it was an embarrassing situation. These guys had the money to invest. They had the money to invest. But the corruption that was so much embedded in the system drove them away. These guys, they were in Abuja for almost 4 weeks. I put them in a hotel in Abuja. I put them in a hotel. And they were supposed to write this check and make this investment in Nigeria. But the corruption was too much. They had to leave after 4 weeks. So these same people that messed up, I'm not just talking about only me. I bet you there is a whole bunch of people like me that brought investors, that tried to bring investment into Nigeria. But the corruption made it difficult, made it impossible for it to happen. This same set of people in PDP are the same set of people that are asking for you to put them back in power, for them to finish the corruption that they started years ago. AAC is Sowore. I know him a little bit. I've met him a couple of times. And from the much I know that my investors have been talking to me. The investors are paying attention, especially investors that are here in the United States, in Texas. They're paying attention and they're talking to me every day. They like Sowore. They think that there is going to be a good leadership that would develop that confidence in the market for them to be able to invest confidently in Nigeria. All they need is stability, assurances. And once we're able to make decisions to put AAC in power, forget about looking for a job, because Nigerians are not, like I said before, Nigerians are not job seekers by nature. They are job creators. If you have a real estate development project that you have in your village or in your community or in Lekki or in any big city, and you're able to get with your friends and it makes economic sense. There are hundreds of people, hundreds of investors in Western countries, including America, that will be glad to write you a check for $50 to $100 million for you to go and invest, as long as they will get their returns. Because I tell you this secret, most people don't know. Investors don't like to hold their money and put it in their pockets. They don't like to put it in their bank, because the maximum they get returns in the bank is maybe 3 or 4% at the most. And they put it in their pockets. It doesn't create any value. It depreciates every day. So they would like to put it in an instrument that gives them returns. And if that's your estate development project in Lekki, will give them above market returns.
You get the fund.
You get the fund. No matter where you are, whether you're in Abuja, you're in Lagos, you're in Port Harcourt, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is to, if you don't know how to get in touch with people like me, I would even bring them to Nigeria to come and give you the check in your hand, give you the check by your hand. so that you can develop that project and help employ hundreds of Nigerians while you're developing your real estate project.
And that is the way.
Not a job seeker, job creator. Not a job seeker, job creator. Go ahead.
And that is the way to address the big problem of unemployment. No investment is equal to unemployment. When there is investment, then there will be uptick in employment rate. That is the way it works. It's very simple, straightforward. So the point I want to raise is to the youth of our nation, to the students
Not to the 10,000.
of our higher institutions, and to every young one that is up to 18 years or the age of voting and has registered to participate in the election. The choice is yours. What decision do you want to make? You want to make a decision that brings somebody who believes and will work assiduously for your future to be better than what we have today, or you want to vote and hire the same guys that have denied you your future, your destiny. The choice is clear. I, for one, would applaud President Muhammadu Buhari for one thing that he has done that I can see, and probably most Nigerians can see, which is the TSA implementation, the Treasury single account. And he's been able to shut the door to uncontrollable bleeding and carrying away of our money, of our commonwealth, without control, no responsibility or accountability. But at least that is something good. However, that one single step cannot deliver Nigeria. We need people with energy, the zeal and the determination and the soundness of mind, with a good touch to global reality, with a good touch to the global challenges we are facing. We need people, leaders, who has a good grasp of where the world is heading in terms of technology today. You take a look at our universities. I graduated from the University of Benin. But I tell you what, we need a lot of work to be done in our institutions. With my field of study, I went through the Polytechnic as well. Federal Polytechnic Ado-Ekiti, before I went to University of Benin. We had practicals in the mechanical engineering department where we play with lathe machines, milling machines, and all that. Those milling machines have been there from the beginning of those institutions. Nowhere in the world are those lathe machines are still utilized. They've all been converted to what we call CNC, all computer-based control applications. And Nigeria was still there. We see one man using hand to mill in this day and age. Technology-wise, we are nowhere. And if we don't start, we will remain where we are. As a matter of fact, we will be falling, sinking into the ground. We need to do something. This is the time that needs urgent attention. This is no time to play the politics of massaging our egos. This is the time for the politics of how do we make Nigeria great? How do we bring Nigeria to the forefront to compete with the world? How can we bring Nigeria to where We put a stop to the denial, the endless depravity in the society. It is time to stand up for a Nigerian that works for everybody, that works for the masses, not just the top 1% that have hijacked the society. You look around, you see politicians, leaders, they buy brand new cars, they drive them through mud roads, they award contracts to people, they will not execute any single contract. And nobody holds anybody accountable. They send their children abroad in the best universities, while our universities back home are dead. The children of the poor, parents like my parents, they ended up with institutions that have nothing for training purpose other than attendance marking, that I'm present in the class. No knowledge is imparted. I've been looking to hire an accountant for the past 6 months. I've never got one. I wanted a young graduate. I found a couple. Simple question. Are you familiar with Excel spreadsheet? No, sir. The most painful one is somebody who read computer science. He doesn't even know what computer is. He cannot operate a computer. We're not even talking about coding. We're just talking about using of simple software like Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. No idea. We are not talking about coding or programming in Excel or computation. Where are we headed? So we need people who have this understanding up here, who have seen the world, who knows what it would take for Nigeria to start what we call a recovery step. It's hard time, Nigerians. We step up and get it right. If you ask me, I'll tell you. If you want to cast your vote, I will recommend and advise you vote for Omoyele Sowore, AAC. I am not a member, but I am a donor to his campaign because I believe in his ideology. He is speaking the voices and the minds of people who understand what needs to be done to transform Nigeria. And this is our turn or our time to rise up and begin the step of fixing this country. For the youths who are looking around with these politicians who've been around right from the birth of Nigeria, and you think something is going to come out of doing same thing over and over, I challenge you to think again. Wake up. I know maybe offending a lot of people. You're in the PDP, APC. I say this. I don't have anything against you. I challenge you to think and put Nigeria interests first and make the right decision. We should vote for people, not parties. We should vote for candidates that have what it takes to get the job done. Let us see Nigeria as our own project. And you want to hire a manager, you hire a manager that will run that business and bring profit and keep the business flowing. Not a manager that will run it down the drain. It's a choice. The young ones, step up for your future. You can do a lot. Don't let anybody tell you you have no capacity to do a lot. And the elderly, please, I beg of you, give the younger ones a chance to serve you better. Governance, participation in leadership positions is not to be served, but to serve others. Nigeria will flipping the equation. Leaders are to serve, not to be served. Let's put younger ones who can work 24 hours without getting tired, that will work hard and guarantee your pension, your retirement, and your old age medical care. If we keep energetic, middle class young men and women who are supposed to hold the house together in terms of the development of the country, the energy we require to move the country forward. If we keep them in the streets, sleeping in the house or causing confusion, who's going to power the development engine of the country? We need these young ones. We need to make them, we need to change their course of idleness or untapped talent and energy, put it into active work, and I challenge you, you will see the result. It's never too late to start. A journey of 1,000 kilometers begins with a step from your house. Let this be our first step. Let's get it right. I have not seen Sowore with my 2 eyes, physically contact. It's all on social media. But I tell you what, when he was in the University of Lagos, I was in school because we're almost age mate, couple of years apart. We were in the struggle for June 12 together, a lot in Nigeria, because we all nice then. So I know what it takes to fight, and I know what it takes to succeed. I know what it takes to drive your goal. I know what it takes to fight for that you believe in. This he believes in, and I believe in him. If you look at the way he has handled the Take It Back movement, from simple movement to a political party, and if you listen to the gimmicks going around, the pact, collaboration, and how he was able to stay afloat, it tells you one key rare character of a leader. Someone who will be able, who has the ability to process information and make the right call. And that's what you look for in a leader. And he's got it. I ask of you, fellow brothers and sisters, let's do critical thinking and cast our vote wisely on Saturday for Sowore and the AAC. We believe in him. I believe in him. And do a critical thinking. You will find 1 or 2 things that is outstanding, and make a wise call. On this, we'll, draw the line on this segment, and see you in the next segment. Thank you.